Welcome, Daksha, and it's very good to see you again after a while because you are an R1 applicant, so it's been a while since we got connected after you got an admit and stuff. But congratulations. It was amazing to work with you and very, I would say, hurdle-less as well. There were
Yes.
not many hurdles. We did revise essay 1 once, and that was it. And even your interview was pretty smooth. Uh,
Yes.
Before we proceed, Daksha, there is one thing I always wanted to ask you. So
Hmm.
this is for all the people who are attending the call. In the flyer and all, I had mentioned that Daksha has a 715 GMAT, which is true, but she got in with a 710. 710 was the score through which she applied to ISB. It
Mhm.
was second attempt, and she maintained the 710 as well, right?
Yes.
Attempt
Yes.
was 710, second attempt was
Yes.
710, and she decided to go ahead and apply with that. After giving the interview, she decided to take the exam again. I just wanted to know what prompted you, or did you have so much of money to?
No, Anshul. So as you know, engineering background, I had a 710 and I was not very hopeful, to be honest, that I'll get through. Probably I'll get an interview, but might not get through it. So I had booked my GMAT as soon as I submitted my ISB applications for 8th of October. That I'll study for a month now and I'll attempt the GMAT again so that if I have to reapply, I'll be able to do it with a better score. And then on 7th of October was my ISB interview. So now I rescheduled it for a month ahead because obviously I'd paid. That made no sense actually to just not give an exam. So that's how it happened. Like the plan was to keep the score in case I don't get through this time. But somehow it just worked out and I got a better score.
Right. So, before we talk anything ISP, I really wanted to ask you, how did you exactly prepare for GMAT
Hmm.
before, and then what did you do to push your score from 710 to 750?
Sure. So I think both the times my approach was quite similar. I practiced a lot of questions. Apart from guides, I went through GMAT Club. They have those 700 level questions. And I think overall, I have practiced about 1,000 questions for each sentence correction, reading comprehension, and all of these. What went wrong the first time was my anxiety that if I don't get the score, then what will I apply to ISB with? And the second time that I was giving, I had pretty much no anxiety, no attachment to the score that because had nothing to do with it. So I think that's the thing that made a 40 marks of difference, nothing else in preparation.
I think going with that attitude that, okay, whatever, like even if I don't
Yes,
get in, it's fine. I think that
correct.
kind of helps. Okay. What were the resources did you use?
My resources were mostly the GMAT club, the GMAT official guides. I got some coaching materials from a friend from top 1%. They have some coaching. They have like lots of questions. So I got those materials and I used the GMAT club PDFs that were there on 700 to 800 level. So these three resources as much as I could and the official mocks, all six of them.
So you did not join any coaching or
Not
something?
really. I took a coaching for like for my second attempt in which the score remained the same, but did not really see a difference. So I was like, that fine, I'll do it on my own.
Okay. Any tips you'd want to give to people who are going to take their GMAT?
First is practice a lot because I think the format has changed now. So I don't think my tips would be very helpful. But my problem was sentence correction. I could not understand that section. Uh, there was no logic that could help me explain that section. So I just kept practicing, noting down, not just so wherever I got a question right, I would not just leave it. I would note that why the other options were wrong and if my logic was right for that. So that really helped me with that section. Reading comprehension, again, it was more about having an understanding of the passage, then you can solve the questions very easily. And it was very important because if you understand the reading comprehension, 5 questions, 4 questions at a go. So that way, that is so practice a lot is obviously my one tip and don't get anxious. I have like wasted 2 attempts by just getting anxious and getting a lower score than what I could have got. So have no attachment to the score. That is what I have uh, learned actually from my 3 attempts.
Okay. We will come to the ISB application part a bit later. Right now, I want to open it for the questions specifically related to GMAT. I can see someone raising the hand. So you can unmute yourself and you can ask the questions, all of you. Yeah, Yagnesha, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. You can unmute yourself and you can ask.
Hello.
Hi, Yagnesha.
Hi. First of all, congratulations for your 750 score on GMAT. And as the same, like I would like to get your advice for like I got 600 for in my last attempt
Hmm.
while giving the GMAT. It was because of the rumors that the GMAT has become lengthy. It was of the same reason, and because of that, I was very anxious, and it might have affected my performance also. So आप क्या एडवाइस देना चाहेगी कि एक मेरे को इफेक्टिव सीआर एंड वेरी गुड आरसी स्कोर के लिए एक इम्पोर्टेंट चीज है एंड क्या मेन चीज आनी चाहिए?
So CR and RC, I feel, are comparatively very logical. I mean, you can, if you understand कि वो एक
हम्म.
sentence में क्या कहना चाह रहे हैं, CR is very, very logical. So for me, CR was very much like mathematics, so that was not a problem. Understand what they're asking. अगर strengthening पूछ रहे हैं, तो just compare all the options that इससे strengthen हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा है. Is it weakening or is it having no effect? Initially, it might take 5 minutes, 7 minutes to do one question, but
ओके.
over time, it just comes to you naturally and you are able to do it in a couple of minutes. So that was my approach for CR. Initially, मैंने time कुछ भी नहीं रखा कि मुझे 2 minutes में करना है, 1.5 में करना है. I gave as much time as possible to understand if I'm going right or if I'm going wrong, why I'm going wrong in each
ओके.
question, analyzing every option basically.
हम्म.
And for RC, I think reading also helps a lot because I used to read some novels earlier, like a couple of years ago.
हाँ.
So had some familiarity with the topics. Otherwise, I found that they have certain topics which come a lot, women suffrage movement and all of those. So I did not know. So I just read that on Wikipedia कि अच्छा हुआ क्या था इसमें. So you just have
ओके.
a basic idea कि उसमें what happened exactly. So what they're saying is a factual passage. So you can mark it much easily because you'll understand the passage much faster if you know the topic.
एंड
So,
vocabulary played a big role in RC, like
no, my vocab is very weak. No,
okay.
no, vocab doesn't make sense. A lot of practice and familiarity for RC would really help in making it faster.
Okay.
Practice understanding which options are wrong and why they are wrong would really help again, fast, making it fast. And anxiety, as you said, I think just get detached from the score. I think GMAT has one very good option that you can give it as many time as you want, but obviously it's very
Yeah.
expensive. That's not an idea to go by. But I just kept that in mind कि नहीं होगा तो अगली बार दे देंगे, क्या problem है. So that helps.
Sure. And just one last question. Do you know any common hurdles or something that anyone come across while trying to achieve a good RC or good CR scores? Like any common mistake that everyone
Common
goes to?
is timing. I have heard that a lot of
Yeah.
people, like at the end of the exam, probably you will get a, so if you're doing well, you will get a long passage at the end and you have
Mhm.
like 3 minutes left or like 4 minutes left. So maintaining time and accuracy both are quite important. But again, prioritize first accuracy, then time, that way. And give yourself time. The mistake that I made for my second attempt was that I gave the second attempt within like 25 days and I don't think I had enough preparation for that to improve. So give yourself enough time to feel prepared.
Okay, sure, got it. Thank you so much.
Manorath has asked a very good question that how did you gauge when you were ready to give GMAT or you booked a slot and planned your preparation accordingly? It's a very good question because most of the
Yeah,
people
it's a
have
good
this
question.
dilemma.
So I actually had to book a slot because my work timings are quite hectic. If I don't book a slot, I'll just give in, I'll not study. So I initially always booked a slot. So first attempt, I gave myself about 2 months. I also had prepared for CAT, so I had some sort of background. So I kept a 2 month window for myself and I attempted in that. Second one, I made the mistake of not gauging what time would be needed. The third time, again, I made sure that I have prepared this much. 1 month is good enough for me to brush up things and like practice more questions, the amount of questions that I have. So I had booked that, but luckily I got another month because I had to reschedule because of my ISB interview. So I think by the end of those 2 months, 8th November was my paper. And by 4th or 5th of November, I just called up my mother and said, I'm done. I can't study more. I have nothing more to study. So that is, I think, how you gauge. But it gives you a, I think, direction if you book a date. But again, it totally depends on what if you're currently studying or if your work is not that hectic, you can manage.
Yes, Akash, you can unmute yourself and you can ask.
Hi Anshul, hi Daksha.
Yeah.
Uh, I just wanted to know how did you decide either GMAT or GRE? Because after 2 attempts of GMAT, I mean, even I have given an attempt of GRE and I didn't score a good score at that according to ISB's Admit. So I wanted to know how did you decide on which exam prefers you?
Sure. So personally, I always knew my vocabulary is very bad. I can't remember things. So I'm very bad at memorizing things and I'm very bad at vocabulary. So GRE was out of the picture in the first instance for me. So I really did not have to decide. At times I did feel like with sentence correction that what am I doing? Can I just learn those words and not attempt GRE? But then again, measuring your strength and weakness was how I went about it.
Okay, thank you. That helps.
Any other question related to GMAT?
Yeah, hi. I wanted to ask something.
Yeah,
Yes,
Deshna, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to understand how did your process of preparation look like with respect to where you stand, like week by week, how you're improving. Like आप कितने duration में पढ़ते थे फिर आप mock देते थे to understand आप कितना improve कर रहे हो, because sometimes I realize myself just studying and not giving enough mocks. So yeah, I just want to understand that.
So I think for me, the mocks and the, I think, kind of sectional tests or something is there on the official website. I don't know if it's called sectional tests, but they're like 10, 20 questions of each coming from the older papers. So I always made sure to test myself every week, depending on that. At times, some people said that that is too much. You should not do that. You should study for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then give a paper. But somehow I always feel for myself that I learn more when I am testing myself under the time pressure. And there are certain questions which I'll do it correctly when I'm not under the timer pressure. But the same thing comes in the exam, I make it wrong. So in my opinion, as per my, I think, strengths, I tried to test myself on a small section, say RC, 20 questions under a timer every week. For sure. And the mocks, first mock I gave without any preparation. And then after I realized that my SC has improved a little and my RC has improved a little, then I gave a second mock. And towards the end, like 3 days, 4 days before my actual exam, I was just giving sectionals and mocks. I did not study anything.
Got it. So you're saying that while preparing, you did not time yourself, but every week you would time yourself giving sectional
And so
testing.
you have like 5 days and then you have Saturday, Sunday. So,
Right.
so when you're starting very initially, obviously you'll not do anything for 20, 25 days because you have to get familiar with the things. Post that, once you're very familiar, you have done through the official guide. I did not use a timer on the official guide.
Right.
Then when I used the GMAT club materials and other materials, then I started timing myself. And I think a couple of times I realized that I was going wrong under timer pressure. So then I again stopped the timer, did it without a timer, then again put a timer for some other 5 questions. So like that just kept motivating me to go ahead. अगर timer से नहीं हो रहा है तो बिना timer के करके देखती हूँ. But first accuracy, then timing. That is what I maintained.
Got it. And just one more question. Assuming you were also, I'm sorry, I've missed the first 10 minutes of the session, but assuming you were also a working professional while you were studying,
Yes.
how did you divide your time with respect to the different sections that were there in the exam? आप हर week, like दोनों करते थे, तीनों करते थे, आप कैसे करते थे?
So for me, my quants was fine. I was struggling a little with data sufficiency, I would say. I was not able to understand actually. मतलब वो थोड़ा silly mistake हो रहा था वहाँ पे. I would mark the wrong answers because of some confusion. And my SC was very weak. My CR was fine. So the three sections that I actually chose to focus on was RC, sentence correction, and my data sufficiency. Again, really devoted a lot of time to sentence correction, I think more than it was required. And so I kept it so say I'm starting today and I realize my sentence correction is bad. So I
Right.
dedicated my entire 1 week or 1.5 week to just practicing like 100, 200 questions of sentence correction. Concept to hai nahi, matlab you can just practice. You cannot really know any concept or anything about that. So that gave me a confidence ki 100 mein se if I'm able to do 60 right, 70 right, I know where I stand. Then I moved on to doing the same for RC. So like this, I think after a couple of weeks, I was familiar with the topics that I was weak in. Now I divided my time in the week entirely for all these three topics. And on the weekends, I would pick up the quantitative aptitude section and I would like practice about 50 questions of that so that I don't lose touch. That is all.
Understood. Okay. So you basically try to like touch base on
Yes.
everything within a week.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Guys, any more questions related to GMAT before we move to the next part of this call?
Rahul has a question on mock test series. I did not really use a mock test series. I only used the 6 official tests that were available, and they had some small 20 question sectional tests like from previous GMATs, the official GMAT website itself. So that's the only thing that I used, and I timed myself on the questions I was practicing. So that was also a form of sectional test for me. And OGs, I think OGs really helped me with familiarizing myself with the sections, I would say. Because in the official guide, I felt that there is like 700 to 800 level question or something like that. I don't get a lot of practice from there. So it was okay to familiarize myself. Okay, what is this? What you have to do, but not much beyond that. So it was like the initial phase of preparation.
Did you also solve VR, QR, Daksha?
We are
Verbal,
no, I did not.
you
I
only
solved this one. There was an
advanced GMAT.
advanced question. Yeah, I got that and I solved that one.
Okay, okay. And OG, how many OGs you solved? Only one edition or
Only one edition I solved.
But you religiously did the mock tests.
Yes.
And
Mock test was the only thing.
did you refresh the mock tests as well?
I did it for I think the first and the second for my like the last attempt that I gave, but I realized that you kind of remember the answer, so it was not much of a help.
So you, stayed away from unofficial sources.
Yes.
So guys, this is why I was asking these questions to Daksha that, of course, ideally you should do VR and QR as well. But staying away from unofficial sources is much more important than trying to do all the official sources. If you have more time, spend your time on official sources rather than using any private, coaching material.
So
Private coaching material.
the coaching that I took in for my second attempt, I realized that at that time I was feeling like, oh, I'm understanding everything, but it really did not help me much when I answering the questions. So then I realized that it's better I practice from the official things.
Take the coaching or the self-paced courses, online platforms, subscription-based courses to understand the concept, of course. But once it comes to practice, official sources, OG, VR, QR, maybe one more edition of all these three books. Then the advanced GMAT, which many people miss. Munindra specifically mentioned in the last call, which we had just last 1 hour ago, that many people don't even know that that book exists. But that book is really difficult. It only has 700 plus questions, right? That's how you can confirm. I had not solved that question, that book, because it didn't exist during my time. It's a 2019 publication, but I have seen that PDF. It is very for me, the way you said sentence correction was your Achilles heel. For me, it was the strongest. Okay. So I can still boast of 95% accuracy in sentence correction, even though it doesn't exist anymore in GMAT. So I remember solving some sentence correction questions of from advanced GMAT few months ago just for fun, and even I was not able to get them correct. It is that difficult, but it is a great book and it is an official source again. It is an official book. And then all the 6 mock tests and try to refresh them till you are still getting new questions. Right. This is again, and ask anyone who has scored well, you will get the same advice. Yeah, Deshna. Yeah, please go ahead.
One advice that I got from like alumni from my college was that a lot of us focus on 700 plus. We forget that to get to 700, you have to have 100% accuracy in the 600 to 700. So don't
Yes.
miss up on that part.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Deshna.
Yeah, talking about unofficial sources, I'm not sure if we can name the platforms here. But like, we can't.
I'll tell you. So
Ideally, let's not call anyone.
I
Okay.
would not say name, but if you go on the, I don't know if they have for Focus Edition, but for the original edition, on the GMAT Club, they have PDFs of 700 to 800 level questions, 600 to 700 level questions of all the sections, quants, data sufficiency, everything. So,
Mhm.
and like, as far as I remember, the quants one was like this, I got it printed, so it was like this thick uh, paper there. And then the RC also, they had like 25, 20, 30 odd passages. So it is a good unofficial source, and it will not be same with the official guide actually.
Okay, तो आप बोल रहे हो ये GMAT क्लब पे मिल जाता है
हाँ, ये
700?
GMAT Club पे there are these resources, you will find it there, and they were quite similar to what you actually get in GMAT. I think these are old GMAT questions, probably. Not sure though.
Got it. Okay. So the question I was trying to ask was that if one has taken an unofficial source, obviously like to prepare, like one of the portals or which is there in the market, so obviously आप concepts के लिए तो use करोगे, but then there are a lot of questions that they have after the concept, right? They also have sectional test or section. You can sort of curate your test and solve it. So how does one divide time between the tests that are there on the portal versus the GMAT questions that are there, or should we not do those questions at all?
I think
Because
time you can do it, but don't get influenced by it. Either if you're doing great in that or if you're doing bad in that, I personally did not find it to be a measure of my, so I was doing great in the course that I had taken, but my score remained the same. So rely on the official questions if you're able to make them right or like get them right or wrong.
understood. Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you. And should you have something to add about this?
No, I'm a very old person when it's concerned, when the GMAT is concerned. Like I took the GMAT exactly 8 years ago in the month of January in 2016. But the reason I still keep giving advices about GMAT is I see people, people who have recently taken GMAT and who have scored high, like Daksha, and there's a guy in the group called Garvit who has literally scored 100 percentile in GMAT focused.
Yeah, I'm aware.
So he also gives the same advice. So I still think my advice is still valid. And repeating for the nth time, do not stray away from official sources. I don't know what are the unofficial companies right now, but during my time, Veritas was very famous. Veritas merged with some other company now. Then Manhattan was very famous. All of these are big time waste. They
Right.
do not. Veritas was giving me 620 constantly in their mocks. Manhattan gave me highest was 680. So
Got it.
they try their best, but still it is not easy to replicate the actual GMAT. And that's why I stick to official questions, because the official questions are the actual retired GMAT questions, right?
Right.
If you are done with everything, repeat them, but do
Got it.
not stray away,
Got
right?
it. Yeah, that's something which I was not doing, but I'll start. Thank you so much.
Any more GMAT questions before we proceed to the big bad ISB application? So, Daksha, just to remind me, it was your first attempt at ISB, right?
Yes.
And with 3 years of WorkX, I think you only applied to ISB and nowhere else. You're going to Hyderabad or Mohali?
Mohali.
Perfect. Pre-courses must have started, right?
Yes, they have sent the period courses.
Harvard, one for finance.
No, so they have sent accounting, like they've sent 4 subjects. I have only started with accounting right now. I'm getting a little lethargic about it. I should actually now
But you
complete.
did have some finance course, no?
Yes, yes, I have. Like I
And
also
you
work in
anyway,
finance.
you're working
Hmm.
in finance, so.
Yes.
But accounting and finance are different things. People think that if you know finance, you will do good in accounting also, but that's not the case.
That's why I started with accounting. That balance sheet never matches for me, so I think
Yeah,
I
yeah,
should.
yeah. Great. Okay, so Somesh is asking, you're firstly targeting 100% accuracy in 600 level question. During preparation, did you consciously divide time between different level of question? Great question, Somesh.
Yes, actually, I mean, you go through different phases of your preparation. So when I picked up the GMAT club resources, which I was talking about, I first picked up the 600 to 700 level because I was pretty sure about the 500 to 600, so I did not pick up that. Then 600 to 700 I picked up. I realized that I was like having about 90% accuracy there. So focused mainly on getting that to 100%. And then when I used to give tests, I used to see that, if I'm doing right on the easy and medium level questions, because that should not go wrong at all if you really want to get to the 720, 30 level. So that's how I went. Then when I was done with the 600 to 700, I moved to the 700 to 800. Getting 100% accuracy there is quite difficult actually, but I tried to maintain as much as possible. Again, in the tests, made sure that the easy and the medium level questions have to be 100% right. Can't go wrong there. So
Yeah, Deshna.
So is it advisable to sort of, first maintain like a 80-90% accuracy in the easy and medium questions in all the sections and then move to the hard ones?
but personally, I don't think you can divide it like this because ultimately you have to give, but it totally actually depends on the time you have. If you have like 6 months at your hand, you can. If you have like I had about what I started preparing in April and September was this, so I had to give my GMAT around May, June.
Mhm.
I did not have that much time, so my everything was in parallel. I kept doing things in parallel.
Got it.
That's a great thing you said, Daksha, that you had to take GMAT by May or June because the rest of the time must be spent in application. This is where most people falter, right? Or if you're taking more time, then start application parallelly, which is
Yes.
also a very good strategy.
A lot of
But
people have done that actually.
yeah, you are not among one of
Yeah,
those. You are one of
I
the minority people who work with me who finish GMAT and then work with application. 90% of the people do both together, and I strongly advise to do it. You I mean, I didn't know you at all while you were pursuing or while you were preparing for GMAT. You directly came to me once you were done with GMAT. You said, "Ki, I'm not able to improve. Let's start." So I said, "Okay." Before that, I didn't even know who you are, to be very frank. So yeah, that is, I mean, of course, all of you are preparing for GMAT to either apply to ISB or some other B schools. Application needs time. Okay, now we'll move to the next part of this call. Why did you apply? Why did you decide to apply to ISB?
Uh, so okay, that is so.
Very interview question, but
Yeah, I mean, so once I had my GMAT in India, we have quite less options compared to abroad, and I mostly plan to stay in India in the long term. Then I looked at the options. I looked at the PGPX options, and then there was ISB. Personally, I have a lesser work experience. I had like 3.5 years, or actually just 3 years when I was applying. Now I have 3.5 years.
yeah, sorry, Daksha, I'm cutting you off.
Yeah.
First, you need to tell everyone your background because we never discussed that.
Okay.
Your work exit
Yes,
background.
sure. So I am a civil engineering graduate from BITS Pilani, Hyderabad campus, and I graduated in 2020. And post that, I've been working with JP Morgan in their investment banking division in the mid office currently. So very plain and simple profile, nothing great there. So yeah, so I had like 3 years of WorkX, and so PGPX was kind of out of question as far as I discussed. The WorkX was not filling in. Plus, they have more leadership kind of roles and less opportunity for function shift. Actually, ISB gives much more opportunity for that. So keeping everything in mind, I chose to apply to ISB, and it's the only school I applied. So.
Right. Now, how did you navigate application and what tips you'd want to give to others who only about application part? And according to you, what was ISB trying to measure or trying to assess through the application?
Sure. So as far as the application is concerned, as Anshul said, I had done my GMAT and then I came to him. I always felt that I'll know my score, so I'll actually put in efforts as like I had lower score, so I was very much concerned about.
Also, before you proceed, let me tell you everyone, let me tell this to everyone, 710 is a below average score for ISB.
Yeah.
716 is the average GMAT score of ISB, and 710 is the median GMAT score of ISB. So if I do not know how much weightage they give to what bracket, GMAT bracket, but I'm pretty sure for Daksha, the weightage would be below average for GMAT. Like
Yes.
it's very clear. So for you, application was a very important of course, the interview as well was a very important part of your entire process. Because the moment you're applying with a lower GMAT score, it means because the other parameter is academics, which you cannot change, it is free. Your application and interview preparation becomes very important. So how did you do? What all did you consider?
I reached out to Anshul, and ISB had changed their questions. That was very new to me. So, and then I think Anshul really made great frameworks, I would say, to help write those answers. He gave us examples from different uh, other schools, which kind of made it easier for me to put my stories into it. I remember he gave me an Excel sheet wherein I had to write the different stories of my life. So that was really helpful because personally, we'll never really look back to the last 24 years of our life and remember what all happened. But when you sit down and think that, okay, I was born, then this happened, and this happened, you write everything down, you have a framework to your life actually. So that's how I wrote, I think, 5 or 6 stories in that Excel. And then I went about it with how Anshul had guided in the framework that, there was a strength and weakness essay and there was a success and failure. Yes, success and failure essay. I specifically remember Anshul had told us not to mention academics and work ex, but I did mention, and I said that you had said that whatever you write will show on your face, and I know that this is my success and I will write this. And I think that really worked out for me actually. So his frameworks are great. What I learned through the process was that as a consultant, as a member, a mentor, Anshul can guide me. At the end, I have to take my decisions and I have to write my own story.
Yes, and you
So
also have to be your own advocate. For
yes.
example, when we did finalized your essay one, it was looking great.
Hmm.
But then we almost changed it by 50 to 60% because you had not provided me those new information when we were writing it for the first time. But when
Yes.
you gave that information, somehow I was still able to add all those new information while knitting a story, while being under 400 words. But it was you who realized that, hey, this story is really not looking complete. I think I can highlight some more aspects of my personality and whatever I have experienced in my life in essay one, because essay one is not professional. It is all about who exactly you are from inside, right? So a lot of onus is on the candidate. If a candidate himself or herself is not aware of what all can be included, then the mentor cannot do much. So
Correct.
most of the credit goes to you that you were able to identify that this is not painting a full picture.
Hmm.
This is very, very important. Right?
So that realization actually came from that I was reading my essay and I realized that what will someone ask me from this?
Yeah.
I'm not giving much content for anyone to ask me anything.
Yeah.
So that's how that realization came in, and then I put in some more stories there. So basically, what I would suggest is when you're writing your essays, make sure you're putting a very honest portrayal of yourself, not just in terms of the good things, but also in terms of the bad things. So I mentioned my weakness and anxiety. Now, as a person who's trying to go for an MBA course where you have to do a lot of presentations and this and that, anxiety is not a good trait to have. And I asked Anshul this as well, that is it going to backfire or something? But that's who I am. I get anxious in moments, but I handle myself back. That's my strength in a way. So don't be afraid to portray yourself as you are, because you'll be questioned on that and you'll have to defend it in the interview.
Yeah.
And you can only defend it if you have actually written the truth. So that's for the essays part. I think that's the only main advice. Rest everyone has a lot of stories and you can put a great essay there, but just be honest about it because you can be asked anything out of it.
Yeah. Okay, now talking about interview. So how did you prepare and what exactly happened in the actual interview according to you?
So when I submitted my application, and I think within 4 or 5 days, we got an email that you're shortlisted for interview. So I had about, I think, 20 odd days or 15 odd days at my hand to prepare for interview. Anshul started with my first mock where I stuttered in a lot of things. I did not probably know anything.
But that's a good thing because there's one mistake you're making. You started the preparation before getting the shortlist. You started immediately.
Yes, I remember.
You did
Yes.
not wait for the shortlist. That
I
is,
did not wait for the
trust
shortlist.
me, and this is for people who are attending. If you do this, you will already beat half of the competition. Those who also attended Munin's call just 1 hour ago, they will understand why. Half of the people do not do this. I don't know why. So if you start immediately after submitting, you are beating the competition. Trust me. Okay, Daksha, sorry to cut you off. Please continue.
No. So yeah, Anshul is right. I completely missed that. I started, I think, a couple of days just after submitting my application, and I stuttered a lot in that interview. Anshul asked me questions I had no answers to.
Mm.
So uh, what I did post that is whatever questions he asked me, I wrote it down in my diary. And then for the next couple of days, I made sure to frame answers to that as neatly as possible. Made a Google Doc actually out of it. I still have those Google Docs, wherein I started putting all the questions that would be asked to me in the mocks. So Anshul asked me, then Anshul arranged a couple of other mocks from people. And total, I guess I had 4 mocks with Anshul. And on the other hand, because I knew that interview was going to be the make or break for me, I really did not want to leave any stone unturned. So I reached out to the alums from my college who have been in ISB, and I told them, I sent them my application and like took a sort of mock with them. I asked my friends to ask me questions. All of this I did. I just asked everyone to question me on each and every line of my essays. So my first line of the essay was, I have lived in 9 different cities. So I even questioned myself that, okay, what have I learned from it? How has it affected me? How will I use it in life? So basically every why, how, what that can come from whatever you have written. I questioned myself, and if I felt that I could not find an answer to that, I wrote that question and I talked to people that, what can be an answer to this? This is how I feel. And I wrote an answer. I at the end, I had a Google Doc with about 35, 40 questions apart from the Google Doc that Anshul had sent me. So that's how I prepared. Every project that I had mentioned on work, I made sure to remember a couple of metrics about that, a couple of qualitative points about that, and my role in that. So coming from a mid office, I don't handle the entire project myself. So I have to be very clear on my role in that project. So that's something that I did regarding work projects, similarly for extracurriculars. This way, and I just kept reading those docs before every mock that I took with anyone. I used to read that doc, take their feedback, make those changes. Obviously, sometimes the suggestions are quite conflicting when you talk to different people.
Yeah.
So at that time, you have to take your call.
Yes.
And I did take my call and just kept some answers as I liked it. So that was my interview prep phase. And the actual interview was actually very nice and
That's
very conversational. Uh, like the interviewer came to the waiting room and he took me to the room where the interview was supposed to happen. He was talking to me entire, okay, you live in Bombay, where do you work? How long have you been living here? He took me there. And then the conversation was mostly around my work ex. Again, that part really helped, where I had made small notes on each of my projects, because he legit asked me that, pitch a company from this project. So I wouldn't be able to if I hadn't known much. Uh, very few questions, very few behavioral questions, I would say. There was not like, tell me about a time. That questions were very less. Lot around my work ex, and a lot around why I am what I'm telling them that I am. Like, if I say that I have an interest in social work, why do I have that? What makes me do it? Like, what do I gain out of it? What do I feel out of it? I say that, okay, this is my success. Why do I feel that this is my success? Given that my internship was 3 years ago, why do I feel that this is my success and this? So that way. So it was 22 odd minutes, I think, which was less, I feel. And when I came out, I did not know what happened. It just passed by so fast. And the entire interview just revolved around my application. Any random point could be asked to you, like I was from my projects, from my success story. So yes, for interview, you need to be very thorough with your application.
Great, Daksha, and I am hearing this story for the first time. I mean, I know what all did you do with me and my team, how religiously you worked for the interview, but this background, how much you are working on your own. So again, this is a great message to all of you, right, guys, that it's not a rocket science, but it is not something to be taken lightly as well. The moment you submit, the clock starts ticking from that day. You have no time to waste. You cannot. I have seen people, because some of them follow me on Instagram. I have seen people going to parties and attending weddings before application and interview. You cannot do this. Each and every day is a day of preparation for interview, because there's a hell lot to prepare. And I'm repeating again, if you start doing it the day from submission, you are already beating the competition. No matter how much high score someone else has, 750, 760 people applying, you can beat them with a 700 and 710 as well, uh, just by starting early. Okay, now I have spoken a lot. I will open the session for questions related to ISP, or you can ask for GMAT also if you still have some questions remaining. Yeah, Akshita, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Yeah. Hi, Daksha. Hi, Anshul. So, my question is generally, like whenever we apply for ISB, they see your extracurriculars also. But since you have done in my case, I have done my extracurriculars when I was in college, and it's been like I passed out in 2021. So it's been 2, 3 years almost. So is it necessary to do some more extracurriculars like for applying to ISB? That is like they should be like, since I'm working currently, so will they want to see that if I did some XYZ curricular in my college, so why am I not continuing it? Or if I did some kind of social work, then I should have continued it in my work ex or in the city that I'm living in. So is it necessary?
So I think Anshul can answer that better, but from my perspective, yes, they did ask me. I wrote about playing badminton during my school days competitively, and it was asked that why have you not continued it, or like why don't you do it anymore? So you need to make sure that if you've done something in the past and you've stopped it, why have you stopped it? And as far as you're saying that no, some social, some extracurriculars during the work experience time, I did have a lot of breaks. I think I did some work with an NGO during the 2021 phase, and I did nothing in 2022. Then I did some in 2023. So like that, it was not a point of question, but I had something there, so I don't think I can answer that question right now. But yeah, I mean, if you've stopped doing something, you need to have an answer for that. That is for sure.
Okay.
Anshul,
And yeah, Anshul, if you have some points to add on
Yeah,
it.
so Akshita, first of all, you cannot and you should not do any extracurricular by forcing yourself just for MBA application. That doesn't work, because in during the interview they will catch like this,
They will catch, yeah, that's for sure.
and it is not even needed. And you
Okay.
just mentioned that should you had done it long ago in 2021. I have another student, Ananya. She is a part of the group. She got an ISB with Daksha in round one. Her success story in essay 2 was about an extracurricular that she did at school.
Okay. Mhm.
School. And she has lots of extracurricular. She got in with ISB because of her extracurricular activities, not because of all the other things she did correctly as well. But I meant to say she had lots of extracurricular. And she gave me a big list. We still ended up choosing the example from school.
Okay.
I also wrote about, but my case does not stand, because I was a very recent graduate when I applied to ISB. I graduated in 15 and I applied 15 August and I applied to ISB in 2016 January. So of course I will write about stuff about my college, but I'm just giving an example that this length length, I mean, when did you actually pursue it doesn't
Yeah,
matter. How much impact you created, that matters. So after a lot of discussion with Ananya, I said ki no, even though she had very impressive extracurricular recently as well. But I said, I strongly believe that a school story will help me to make your entire profile stronger.
okay.
It is all
So
about
Just a small follow-up
my
question here, Uncle.
yeah.
Wouldn't they like feel like you're still stuck in your college, or haven't you
Manorat,
achieved anything more than that?
Manorat, let me. I was talking to someone. Let me
Sorry,
finish
yeah.
that conversation. Then I will come to you. Yeah, Akshita.
yeah, so my question basically comes from, so I'm not from a tier 1 engineering college, I'm from a tier 2 engineering
So,
college.
no, and
So,
the
and
girl
I have,
Ananya, I'm talking about. She's from tier 3, not even tier 2.
okay.
So please,
So,
these are just random rumors you people have heard that ISB is for tier 1. Absolutely not. Daksha is from tier 1 right now as we
I
talk.
can second that. I know people from BITS who did not get in this.
And I have people from lovely professional university and kids going to ISB, right? So his college really doesn't matter. I mean, absolutely not. So
okay,
ये
and
जो
yeah,
आपके दिमाग में है, ये पहली बात तो ये दिमाग से निकालो tier 1 and tier 2. You
yeah.
studied long ago. What has happened has happened. Take it out of your head, first of all.
Mhm. So, on one more question. So basically, if I'm applying to ISB, so basically I'm in Accenture currently working as in engineering, in IT. So so I'll be joining an MBA to switch my career. So
Yeah.
either go into consulting or finance. So even if I pursued some courses in finance and I did my CFA level 1, but they would they would want some relevant work experience. I am coming from an IT background and I am saying that I want to switch. So will that
Where are you getting all this information from? Why
these
will
are
they need?
just my doubts that that
Daksha,
usually come up
Daksha,
if we
Daksha had written her post MBA goals as corporate strategy.
okay.
He has
I
zero
have no
experience.
courses or nothing in strategy.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So relevant work ex doesn't come in picture, like you
First
are
of
not
all, where are you getting all this information from? Please get out of that place.
yeah, sure. Okay,
Hello.
these were just my doubts. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, Manurat, sorry to cut you off. Now you can go ahead with your query.
It was just a follow-up question that if we focus on a story that is from college or say a long time back, wouldn't it come to the picture that haven't you done anything in recent which is bigger than that, or have you stopped doing good things after that?
No, if they they might cross question that way. Then you can justify that why you have done it, but you still choose to portray the school story because you feel that you created a lot of impact back then. And maybe there are multiple ways to answer. It depends on the context. I can say that in school, I really did not have a lot of resources. I did not have a lot of network to do this. I was from a very small town. I was studying in a very small school. I still did it. So even 20 years down the line, I'm still proud of that achievement. So it depends on the context, how exact, and you will, if you have written something like that, of course, you need to train yourself during the interview or while you're preparing for the interview to answer those kind of cross questions. But they can ask, if answering your question directly, they can ask if you end up writing something about your school.
Got it. Just one more question, same follow-up on this. Like, if we have multiple small things, are they good, or we should have one good thing and best thing maybe, and that's all?
It depends. Where are you asking it for? Are you asking it for essays? Are you asking it for listing an extracurricular? Where exactly?
I mean, I'm not very sure on that, but yeah, in general for it, like for the general sense.
No, see, I cannot give you any answer. I have had people like Ananya
Mhm.
who had lots of extracurricular. I had people like Devesh, who is going to ISP as well with 10 years of work ex with a 710, just like Daksha. He had absolutely nothing extracurricular. At least Daksha had a badminton tournament to write. He had absolutely nothing. So I worked with people from both ends of spectrum, and both have successfully got to ISP. So there's no
Got
answer is you don't need anything. If you have it, great. If you do not have it, you can easily still navigate, but you have to train yourself accordingly.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah, Akshita.
So one more question. So I just want to know that if like we want to apply at ISB, So what one can improve in their profile, or what one should add on? Like if
Are
any
you
general
done with
suggestions.
are you done with your GMAT or GRE?
No, I am in my preparation phase, so I'll be attempting it in May.
So absolutely nothing till you are done with the exam, because if you do not have the score,
Yeah, that's the first thing. Yeah, that's correct.
so you have to prepare for your exam. Parallelly, you have to prepare for your application, and then you are also doing your job, full-time job.
Yeah. Mhm.
If after that you have time, then you can.
Okay. And one more thing, like this is not from any source, but yeah, just general view that is going on LinkedIn or anywhere that I read, that currently, since recession is going on and number of applicants have increased in every round.
Yeah.
So is it true? Like that's where all my questions came from, that it has become very hard to apply at ISB, considering they are very selective. Like even if they see a gap year or any negative point or a red flag in your application, they're just ruling it you out because they have so many people to select from.
No,
Like if
Namrata just got in to ISB with a 324 in GRE, which is 6 marks below the average, and she's not even working.
Okay.
That's not true. You see, Akshita, these are just random information floating.
Yeah.
When you'll actually sit down, now you're preparing for GMAT, when you'll actually open the application, you'll realize these are the steps of application. These are the essays, and then this is how you have to prepare for the interview. Just do all these steps properly and you will get in. That's it. And cut down the noise, random noise here and there.
Also, I would like to actually add to that. So I think Anshul also doesn't know this. I plan to apply to ISB YLP when I was in my third year.
No, you told me long ago. You told me.
Yeah, and I gave up on that. That okay, my profile is not good enough. I have not done things and that, and I don't think I should give GMAT. I won't be able to do anything through that. I should do CAT. And then ultimately, when I sat down with my application, I realized that I did have a lot of things to write about. I think I could have tried even back then. So that just sit down with your application. I think you will be able to write things.
Okay, thank you.
You have done a lot. Mostly you will realize once you start. Or if you're still not able to realize, then you take some help. I'm not saying professional help. Maybe take the help of a friend who has gone through the process. Right?
Okay.
You will be able
And only like applying in round 1, round 2 doesn't matter. Like, is there
people will say you different things. I strongly feel you should apply to round 1.
Round
1.
Round 1. Okay. Okay, got it. Any specific reason for that? Just to confirm.
I don't want to say anything on record. Just apply in round 1.
Okay.
Yeah, Kash.
Yeah, so my question is quite connected to Akshita's. I wanted to know if a gap year in work experience would that, I mean, if I'm planning to take a gap in terms of preparation for GMAT or GRE, would that, what would that speak in my application process? I can
3
see you
years.
nodding.
Himanshu is going to IIM Bangalore with 3 years gap. Namrata is going to ISB while she's not working. Amulya is going to BITSOM with more than 1 year gap. So the answer is no. Doesn't matter. Absolutely doesn't matter.
I'm asking this question from the point of view that I have around 2 years of experience under my belt. And according to the, and as per my extracurricular, I can vouch for that. Like I have a good extracurriculars compared to my ads.
That's it. You are good to go.
So it's fine if I take a gap.
Yes.
Okay.
Ideally,
That,
if you do not have a gap already, but if it's getting impossible for you to prepare, then you can take a gap.
okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Manorat.
Just had one question, like what should be the strategy, like, ideal strategy, what do you think we should finish by GMAT by this time, we should start with the application by this time, and, give
I
your
was
everything by
giving the
this time?
answer to this, Manorat, till 2 months or a few weeks ago. But now when we are in mid of March, I have already started full blown with people for application. Because again, no rocket science, more time you'll give, the better result will come out of it. So the answer to your question is the time is now. Doesn't matter if you have your GMAT ready or not. Most of the 99% of the people they don't have their GMAT ready by March. No one will have their GMAT ready by March. But we have started the application, both for ISB and IIM Ahmedabad, because these are the two most crazy applications. Rest everything is a cakewalk if you are able to do these two.
Got it. And how much amount of work experience do you think is ideal? Like after which I should definitely start applying, or before that I shouldn't be applying?
No, I again do not have any answer to that question because Daksha is going with 3 years, Devesh is going with 10 years, and this Nandita is going with 1 year through early entry. I am giving you only this year example, not. Okay, great. So we do not have any other question. So I think we can end this call. Thanks a lot, Daksha, for your time. You have almost a month to go from today. So all the best for everything. And
Thank you.